So there's this solo adventurer who went and broke a major taboo, man. Turns out, some noble dude wrote in his diary that eating monsters is totally off limits around here. If a human chows down on a monster, they basically swallow its dark vibe. First up, you get this crazy high that words can't even capture, plus your body feels like it's getting pumped up. Next, you start pounding headaches, feel sick, and get kinda woozy. Third, you could just flat out die, or worse, morph into a monster yourself. Oh, and this all goes down in Bologna, a frontier city packed with a bunch of labyrinths. One of those mazes is known as the Miasma Labyrinth. The air inside constantly chips away at any adventurer who dares step in. Most explorers hate that place, but our guy keeps coming back. Before long, folks started calling him the Miasma Scavenger. Just like always, he's on another raid, diving deep into the maze. On the 6th level, he spots a ton of miasma grass, just another day's find for him. That grass cleanses the miasma and nets him solid cash. He only grabs what he needs, then, after loading up, he heads out. On his way out, a swarm of miasma rats shows up. A lot of the critters there wield miasma or poison, which is why most adventurers steer clear. But that doesn't faze our guy. He wipes out those rats with ease, though the sheer numbers start to pile up. Just then, a group of cocky adventurers swoops in to bail him out. Even though those smug adventurers helped him, he wasn't feeling that surprise attack. They could have ended up in a mess if he hadn't ducked just in time. One of the adventurers slips into the room where Rude stumbled on that miasma grass. That's when Rude catches on. The adventurers have been tailing him, hoping to harvest his patch. They swear they weren't following him, saying they just happened to run into him and offer a hand. Tension spikes as the proud adventurers gear up for a showdown. Rude grudgingly thanks them, smoothing over any brewing fight. Later, at a joint called Full Belly Restaurant, the adventurer gets hassled by a bunch of Rude patrons. They tease him for never being able to take down a monster. Rude's got this rare trick, abnormal status nullification. It's handy for navigating the miasma labyrinth, but it doesn't arm him with the monster-slaying chops every adventurer needs. Since he lacks combat chops, no party wants him. Folks started calling him the Miasma Scavenger because he's always rummaging the lower levels for loot. Bottom line, his skill gap makes him an outcast among adventurers. Even as an adult, he ends up dueling a tiny rat in a life or death scrap. He wonders if he'll be stuck forever as the Miasma Scavenger. Next day, he heads to the Adventurers Guild, hoping to track down a new colony. He looks around and sees the hall in total chaos. He walks up to the receptionist, asking if there are any solid quests. The receptionist tells him a fresh labyrinth just got discovered. This new maze is packed with treasure and magical gear. Sounds like a prime chance for any adventurer. So after that announcement, the front desk lady brings up the sudden dip in price for the miasma herb. Rude kinda freezes, surprised by what the receptionist just said. She replies that the miasma labyrinth never really caught on, to begin with. Right now, everyone's heading to the new labyrinth, so nobody's buying miasma herbs. She adds that the fresh labyrinth sits up in the Yahello Mountains, but Rude can't go, entry needs a D rank or above, and he's only an E rank. He pushes to check it out, but she's firm, no shortcuts on the rulebook. Even if he somehow sneaks in, he'd just end up meeting his doom for nothing. Spotting Rude's eagerness, a guy offers him a spot as a porter in his crew. Rude hops onto the carriage bound for the new labyrinth up in the Yahello Mountains. The porter recruiter seems pretty friendly toward Rude. He says he needs someone to haul gear out of the new labyrinth, but nobody's answering his call. Rude gets that with all the guild's adventurers camped at the new labyrinth, finding a porter's a tough gig. But the crew Rude's joining isn't thrilled about having a miasma scavenger on board, except the party leader, who seems okay with it. The leader pushes the group to see Rude as more than a rookie. He's been out on quests for ages. He steps up, calling himself Buyer, the captain of Scarlet Sword, and a D-rank adventurer. Buyer's squad includes 2 more D-rank adventurers, Sasha and Rick, making up the Scarlet Sword crew. Rude does a quick intro of his own, keeping it short. Buyer asks for Rude's guild card, and Rude hands it over. Rude's a level 7E hunter, stats on the low side, but he can cast fire magic. He can toss some fire magic, but the power's too weak for a fight, still handy in dark spots or when he's cooking up something. Buyer notes it's pretty useful. Not long after, the crew rolls up to the newly found Yahello labyrinth. Spotting the bare doorway, they figure they're the first to show up. Turns out that's not the whole story. The maze is already buzzing with folks. Most of the explorers have already snagged the loot and those fancy magic items. Our team looks annoyed seeing crowds everywhere, especially Sasha, who can't stand it. Rick pitches going deeper, saying the lower levels are less packed. Rude chimes in, thinking they should start by mapping the first floor. But Sasha and Rick aren't thrilled about Rude, an average E-ranker, spouting his thoughts, and they end up trash-talking him. Buyer steps in to cool things down. He sides with Sasha and Rick, warning that this drama won't get them anywhere. With the leader calling the shots, Buyer opts to push further down. Before long, the crew hits the 4th tier of the Yahello maze, and the challenge ramps up with each level. They get ambushed by fierce beast-type monsters, but Rude is the only one having trouble landing a single blow. At a tight spot, Rick swoops in to save him, leaving everyone stunned by Rick's raw power. Rude glances around, spotting Buyer and Sasha already crushing the monsters. In a flash, the team wipes the lot clean. The 4th floor of Yahello's maze is empty of other parties, so the crew is pretty relieved. Even with deeper levels, the monsters stay relatively weak. Luckily, they stumble on some treasure too. Rick, being all bossy, tells Rude, the lowest rank adventurer in the room, to grab the loot from the monsters. Rude pushes back, saying he won't collect the stuff because the monsters he's supposed to loot are totally wrecked. He also points out that the magic stones are probably shattered, too. Rick isn't happy with that answer. He tells Rude to quit slacking and just do his job. Rude's used to dealing with this kind of attitude. Even though he's embarrassed, he keeps his cool and agrees to act as the porter. Swallowing his pride, he still isn't thrilled by the sight of the corpses. Everything's a mess, guts everywhere, the smell's awful, and the damage looks way beyond normal. Trying to find a quick fix, Rude decides to set the monster's corpse on fire. He thinks maybe he's cooking it up. Since they're deep in the 4th layer of the Yahello labyrinth, Rude admits he's starving, and even the monster meat looks kinda tasty. Sasha jumps in, telling him not to joke about eating monsters. It's a big no-no among adventurers. No one really knows what would happen if you actually ate a monster. The mana just gets absorbed into the body. Rick laughs it off, saying he was only kidding. He's looking forward to chowing down on a ton of good food with the cash he's earned. Suddenly, the ground starts shaking, and everyone feels a wave of fear. When the tremors calm, a B-rank minotaur bursts onto the scene. It shows up right after they've taken down countless monsters. The party wonders why a B-rank beast would be lurking on the 4th layer of the Yahello labyrinth. Scarlet Sword thinks they can't take down a B-rank monster on their own. In a flash of panic, BR asks Rude for his backpack and tells him to keep an eye on the Minotaur's moves. That Minotaur isn't a run-of-the-mill monster you can just hack down. Even though he's on edge, Rude waits for BR's signal. Right next to Rude, BR whips out his blade and lands a nasty cut on the guy. He does it with a huge grin on his face, bragging that it's all part of his master plan. After Rude drops, BR shouts to the crew to bolt out fast. To crank up the chaos, Rick fires off his warrior's engagement, pulling the monster's fire straight onto the target. And Sasha isn't chill either. She drops her Has skill, spiking the target's speed double time. Rude finally gets that he's been played dirty. The Scarlet Sword crew had been set to ditch him from the get-go, and even BR himself mutters there's nothing special about him as a mask-haver. So why bother bringing him along? The 3 adventurers bolt without a second thought. Rude's been stabbed in the back again, and he's too drained to even scramble for his life. Meanwhile, his whole life reels past his mind like a fast-forward reel. Some miracle lets him duck the strike, but he quickly sees the luck won't repeat. This is it for him. The beast lunges, slams Rude through the platform, knocks him nearly out, and he's left wondering if he's still breathing. He glances sideways at the ground and spots the Minotaur stuck right under him. But time's ticking. Without any other monsters, he'll likely bleed out or starve before his wounds seal. Starving hard, he starts hallucinating, even getting the urge to gnaw on the monster. A flashback hits him, some guy telling Rude never to quit. No matter how rough or painful life gets. Those words fire him up, fueling his will to survive. So he starts biting the monster's flesh without thinking. If a magic-drained human tried to chow down on man-or-rich monster meat, those monster mana particles are about to flood their body, man. Being monster-fied is a nightmare, scarier than choking on poison. No wonder it's a total no-go. Rude's desperate to refill his blood and curb the hunger, so he rolls the dice and ends up morphing in a wild way. He was sitting tight for a miracle, but Nada showed up. Even if his head's a bit off, he still manages to stand tall. His eyes blaze with a will to survive, fed by pure hate and vengeance. A horde of monsters spots him and starts closing in. Now a savage, Rude unleashes this alien roar skill, straight out of a Minotaur playbook. If roar ain't cutting it, he flips on physical boost, a quick power-up for his muscles. With Minotaur-level strength, Rude keeps grinding on those bat-type monsters. And now it's no surprise, he just devours those monsters like there's no tomorrow. Getting roar and physical boost wasn't some lucky fluke. He also picks up the bat's echolocation, a radar that spots foes even in total darkness. Soon enough, he spots another wave of monsters rolling in. Now both Rude and the monsters are charging straight at each other. Yeah. Only one side's gonna earn the title. The ultimate apex predator. Rude's turned into a ruthless monster slayer. He's not scared of monsters any longer. The only thing that survived from his old self is that raw will. He's got that fire to survive. He can feel the monster's magic even without glancing at it. And that battle axe, it fits his grip like a glove. Going from trembling in fear to grinning while swinging it shows how much he's leveled up, both as a hero and as a beast. Each monster he devours sends a rush of power straight into his veins. Eventually, he claws his way out of that fresh labyrinth. Meanwhile, Scarlet Sword hands over the mission report to Guild Master Lankars at the Bologna branch. He lets Scarlet know he's gathered every adventurer from the labyrinth, except Rude, who was with the crew. Bayer, acting sneaky, spins a fake tale to cover his tracks. He claims that when they ran into the Minotaur on the 4th floor, Rude got taken down before anyone could save him. Lankars nods, gets the picture, and decides to lock down that labyrinth for a while. The receptionist looks down about Rude's loss, but her face flips when she spots him walking back into the guild. Everyone's blown away to see him alive, especially the backstabbers. Bayer puts on his sweet brother act and is the first to check if Rude's all right. After the chaos, he leans in and tells Rude to keep his mouth shut if he wants to stay alive. The rest of the crew chimes in, checking on him. Bayer suggests they toast Rude's survival, but not here, planning to move the party outside for some mischief. They push to get him out, but Rude's own force holds him steady. Right there, in front of the Bologna Guild adventurers and the guildmaster. Rude drops the bomb that Scarlet Sword was pulling his strings. Lankars fires back, asking Rude what he means by being a pawn. He wants answers, plain and simple. Rude says Bayer swiped his gear and struck him from the back. Rude used a trick to draw the Minator in, then Sasha slammed a haste spell on the trio, letting them bolt. Bayer flat out denies it, right in front of Lankars. He swears he had nothing to do with it. To sort this out, Lankars pulls a truth-checking method and calls in the truth officer. When the truth officer, who hardly ever leaves the capital, shows up at the Bologna Guild, the Scarlet Sword crew freaks out. Lankars says there's been a crazy spike in porter deaths while they're on loan to Scarlet Sword, so he called in an old favor to get the truth officer on board. He asks the truth officer to point out who's missing from Bayer's squad, and Rude's being straight up honest. The truth officer pulls off the cloth over her mouth, calling out the Scarlet Sword members for lying. Turns out Rude was right. Bayer pushes back, refusing to buy what the truth officer says, claiming she can't be trusted. Lankars points out that you can't pick up a truth skill once you're older. It's as powerful as any rare ability. No lie can slip past it. And who's more reliable than someone who swore to use that power for the nation? Leaving your teammates behind, that's a total no-go for any adventurer. Lankar seems to know that Scarlet Sword has deliberately hurt their own crew and treated them like expendable pawns before. If a deep dive happened, all three of those adventurers would lose their licenses for sure. They'd end up as slaves, and Bayer can't stand the idea of being forced into that. He points the finger at the Truth Officer for showing up, which is a super rare move. He charges at the Truth Officer, sword pointed straight at her. But Rude jumps in just in time, blocking Bayer's swing. Rude shouts, "Don't lay a hand on the Truth Officer." Then, right after, he throws a punch straight to his face, sending him crashing through the far wall of the room. He warned Bayer to back off, saying it was a bad idea. After that, Rude chats about Scarlet Sword's mess with Lankars and the receptionist. Rude learns the staff are going to take in the three adventurers, and they'll get a full-blown interrogation. If they get caught as repeat offenders using their porters as bait, the Scarlet Sword crew will lose everything they own, their adventure creds, and end up as slaves. But Bayer even crossed the Truth Officers. He probably won't show up in front of Rude again. They lost any claim to the profits from the new labyrinth. Lankar says Rude should rightfully get it, then surprises him with a leather pouch stuffed with 20,000 regan. At first he was confused, but then he gets pumped thinking this cash could cover his living costs. Normally, it'd take him ages to stack that much by grinding miasma grass. He sees folks around him aren't throwing insults, probably because they saw him tangled up in Bayer's mess earlier. Still, he knows the usual hecklers aren't gonna be nice either. He figures if he keeps standing out, some might get suspicious of his sudden boost. So he decides to keep harvesting the miasma labyrinth like before. Now that he's got cash, he's thinking about grabbing gear and eating whatever he feels like. The moment he leaves the guild, he heads to a tool shop and spots a magic bag on display for sale. He seems drawn to the bag, buys it, then decides to grab a bite. Next day, Rude keeps scavenging in the miasma labyrinth. The monster he wrestled with yesterday is now a piece of cake to beat. He fires up Appraisal, a skill that shows the target's stats. The miasma rat is a level 9 monster with pretty high health points and agility. The skill he got from eating monsters can even be used on corpses. After checking the miasma rat stats, he's curious about his own status. He wonders how much he's improved, guesses he's around level 20 since that rat was a cakewalk. Last time he was only level 20, but now he's rockin' level 42 with 188 HP, 156 strength, 136 endurance, 136 magic, 112 spirit, and 125 agility. Blown away by his insane level jump, he checks his skill list and sees a massive arsenal. Earlier he passed the spot where he fell coming back from the new labyrinth. The wall that should have been broken stayed sealed. The new maze will stay shut for a while, so he plans to dive into the miasma labyrinth. Rude wants to test his fresh power on deeper floors and see how the bag holds up. He grabbed it earlier from a local shop. Now he needs the right monster for his first trial. Rude keeps pushing deeper, from slaying miasma rats on floor 6 to breezing past spiders on floor 13. Still, the monster spawns aren't clicking, so he craves a real challenge. He finally hits floor 24 and spots a lone lizard soldier, a level 25 beast that usually fights with its crew. Thinking the lizard soldier could be a good test for his new gear, Rude sneaks up, barely scratches its arm. Instead of fighting back, the lizard tries to bolt. The narrow alley ends in a dead end, and suddenly Rude feels like the hunted. He realizes he's walked into a trap, outnumbered and in a tight spot. With no better plan, Rude goes all in, taking the monsters one by one. He's way stronger than the lizard soldier, but the coordinated teamwork of the foes keeps cutting his momentum. The lizard soldiers, another one pops up with a shield, covering its buddies. The surprise attack follows. A sneak attack from behind, but Rude dodges it again. He wonders how many monsters are out there. Rude isn't shocked that these critters work together so well. He's blown away by their insane ambush tactics and the way they coordinate their movements. Rude notices that just before the monsters showed that slick coordination. A high-pitched squeal rang out. It came from the general lizard at the back. He pulls out his appraisal skill to scan the monster's stats and discovers General Lizard is a level 32 threat. A powerhouse with one-handed sword mastery and command abilities. He realizes the General Lizard is the boss. General Lizard orders his soldier to strike, using that high-pitched sound. In response, Rude fires up his physical boost skill to counter. Instead of battling the foot soldiers, Rude leaps into the air and slashes at the general with his sword. But even though he's lower level, General Lizard stays unscathed. The monster immediately retaliates by aiming its sword at Rude. Rude finds himself in a spot where he can't dodge the blow. Out of nowhere, he flips on his steel body skill, something he snagged from those spiders. Rude knows he took a hit, yet the General Lizard's hide stays spotless, no scratches at all. Crazy thing is, the general lacks any durability boost, so Rude figures he's borrowing it from someone else. No flashy skills in sight, but Rude spots the soldier behind the general with a fresh wound on his chest. Looks like the soldier took the hit. Pulling that off needs the substitute skill, and the lizard's got it. Rude zeroes in and slays the substitute in a blink. The general, seeing his minions fall, lunges at Rude, but he's already geared up for this. Rude flips on his thread manipulation, spider DNA, and climbs with silk. When the lizards swarm, he whips the thread into a net, trapping the whole crew. With the monsters stuck, Rude claims victory, slices off the general's head, and gets ready to chow down on the lizards. He remembers the magic bag he bought with guild cash. Its interior expands, weight drops to 0 when sealed. He pulls out cookware and spices, ready for a proper feast. Stuck on the hidden floor, he was just trying to stay alive. He always dreamed of a decent cooked bite, so now he slices the meat and throws the pieces into a pan. He pictures the flavor before the first bite, then dives in, discovering the meat is downright heavenly. He thinks he might get hooked on monster meat, never expected it to taste this good. While munching, Rude spots new skills popping up. He ponders why the meat's so tasty. Maybe the monster's magic rubs off. Skills from the Minotaur armor, spider, and evil eye have been super useful. As for the monsters he hasn't tested yet, there's the Thunder Wolf and the Black Serpent. Pumped after that exquisite monster meat, Rude vows to sample a wider variety of beasts on his way back. Talking skills, he recalls the lizard with the substitute ability was also there. Then he plunges into the 21st floor, keeps hunting, and shows off a mix of moves, like the lightning cloak he snagged from wolves. That came from the wolves. The last swarm he beat were 2 critters that love to inflict status ailments. Now he's moving on to frog meat and insect dishes. Time to dig in. He shows off a mix of moves, like the lightning cloak he picked up. Moving on, he's got frog meat and insect dishes. Time to dig in. He chows down on that stuff, then whips up some fried chicken with the same ingredients. Dude, it's so tasty he's itching for a beer combo. One bite and Rude picks up a bunch of fresh abilities: venom, temperature shift, poison scale powder, paralysis scale powder, and even an aerial slash. He feels the power surge instantly, the new abilities kicking in. While munching the tender frog meat, a loud crash echoes, followed by a human shout. Rude wonders if any other adventurers have made it this far into the labyrinth. He quickly stuffs everything into his magic bag and darts toward the source. It's rare to bump into another party in combat, but he'd love to swap info, if he finds them. Meanwhile, on the same floor, a group of adventurers has badly wounded a woman. The fighters are having a rough time with the woman. One of them suspects she's using over-the-top magic to defend herself. The party leader pulls back the hood of her robe, and boom, a sleek elf is revealed. While the team is busy guessing the elf's price tag, Rude's voice cuts in from the shadows. He steps out, saying he hoped for some allies, but these folks don't look that gullible. He admits he doesn't know their story, yet he can't just watch a woman get attacked. The leader of the rough-looking party demands Rude's intro. The elf tells him to scram while he can, warning that the crew he's up against are notorious adventurer hunters. Rude nods, realizing he's heard rumors about these high-ranking hunters. Rude can scan the party's levels, but not their status or abilities. The leader's a solid 65-level adventurer. Seeing that, Rude wonders if they're hiding some concealment or counter magic. Falses, one of the hunters, orders his crew to bring Rude down, and they all gear up for the fight. They're itching for a command. The first to charge is a wild-eyed psychopath sticking his tongue out. He may look rough, but he's quick and has stamina for days. He cheers Rude for holding his ground, and Rude retorts that it's only because his foe is weak. Rude just mocks him. The mad adventurer fumes at the jab, shouting that he isn't weak at all and will prove it by crushing Rude's skull. Rude, staying cool, overpowers his opponent whenever he gets too close. He slickly blocks the strike and instantly spits out a stream of venom using his venom skill. Xarius, the psychopath, lets out a scream as his face starts to melt away. The foes watching Rude spew venom are shocked, concluding that he's turned into a monster. Rude knows his fighting style is reckless. It's totally different from a normal adventurer's approach. Still, this is how a weaker guy like him survives in these labyrinths. Falses wonders if Rude's poison is a one-of-a-kind skill. He grows cautious, realizing Rude can't be taken lightly. He orders his two other companions to charge in unison. The trio lunges at Rude together. Rude pulls off an insane dodge, evading all their blows. He knows that pausing even a second would mean death. Soon it becomes clear that Falses is too fast. He kicks Rude. Rude hits that skill-steel body just in time, so the hit bounces off him. He kinda absorbs the damage, but it doesn't vanish completely, cause he slides into a swamp. Falses, the strongest guy in the party, swears his strike could have snapped Rude's neck. If Rude's still on his feet, you know he's a tough warrior. One adventurer tells Rude he's gonna end his life, but instead of fighting, Rude darts the opposite way. The adventurer shouts at him to stop running, and with revenge on his mind, tries to chase. But Falses steps in and points out the swamp's poisonous. Nobody's guaranteed to make it out alive if they go deeper into that swamp. Falses convinces his buddy to wait for Rude to crawl out, cause there's no way anyone can survive the poison for long. Rude's getting frustrated, wondering how long the adventurers plan to hang around the poisonous swamp. He's lucky he fell into that mess on top of the usual Misuma. The toxic vapors drain the adventurers, stamina fast. In about 10 minutes they're already wiped out. Meanwhile, Rude's just biding his time, waiting for them to weaken, but he knows if he lingers too long it'll become a bigger burden for the injured elf. Rude starts taking slow steps toward Falses and the rest of the crew, asking how they feel being hit with poison and Misuma. Falses and his companion complain that Rude's caused them a ton of trouble. Thinking Rude might be low on stamina too, he says he's immune to any status effects, so he can't really tell how much pain they're feeling. Falses feels tricked, surprised that a nobody like Rude has that abnormal status nullification skill. He orders his mates to attack, and the fight kicks off again. The adventurers can't keep up because the Misuma stacking inside them drags their stats down. Their surprise attack fails when Rude fires up his skill steel body to harden up, then the skill lightning cloak kicks in, scorching anyone who gets too close. The effects of direct exposure to the lightning cloak scorch them, though one adventurer still tries to fight back in a last-ditch effort. Rude uses the aerial slash as the finishing move, putting an end to the chaos. The sheer number of attacks Rude pulls off leaves Falses stunned. He asks why a human like Rude has monster-level skills. Rude just shrugs, saying he doesn't have to explain himself to Falses. The battle between the adventurer leader, Falses, and the Misuma scavenger kicks off. Falses thinks he's totally superior against humans, but the Misuma puts him at a disadvantage. In a critical moment, Falses uses his agility enhancement skill, gaining crazy fast movement. Rude counters with a physical boost, proving raw power beats speed. The force gets the job done. Level 65 Falses gets taken down by the Misuma scavenger. Rude notes that without those abnormal statuses, Falses would have been a clear win. The elf woman thanks Rude, calling him her savior. He replies he couldn't leave her stuck in that miserable spot. The elf tries to act brave, even though her body's still feeling the Misuma. At the end of the day, Rude wonders why an elf would be out in such a remote area. He ponders what kind of circumstances forced her to be chased by adventurer hunters. The surprises just keep coming. All that's left is the elf, still bruised but grateful, and Rude, who's just glad the fight's finally over. Even though the elf's still dealing with Misuma, she tries to stay brave. Rude keeps an eye on her, making sure she's safe. He wonders what brought an elf to such a lonely spot, and what wild chase led her here. The whole saga shows that surprises never stop coming, especially when you're tangled up with poison, Misuma, and a bunch of crazy skills. So they get ambushed by this massive moth, a level 37 beast, and Rude just hacks it down, bragging that size alone ain't gonna beat him. He tries an aerial slash, but the moth throws a crazy jump scare, and the wreckage almost smacks the elf lady. Thankfully, she dodges it. Rude goes for aerial slash again, this time crushing the moth. The thing bounces back, spits out paralyzing scales, and the paralysis thing kicks in. He's like, "Paralysis? Not on my watch." He forgets the elf's there. She's just an ordinary elf, no crazy resistances. Still, she whips up some wind magic, redirects those scales, and shocks Rude. Eventually, Rude slays the moth. The elf, wowed by his moves, asks why paralysis doesn't touch him and why his skills feel monster-like. He's stumped, and she drops to her knees. He checks on her, wondering if a paralyzing scale hit her. She says it wasn't that, something else entirely. She'll spill her story once they're out, while they chill under a heavenly tree, soaking in the scenery. Rude asks if she's the Alicia from the Emerald Storm. Turns out Azure Tales, an S-rank crew from Ludius, had her. He remembers they fell apart about 5 years back. Back then, Azure Tales took on the monster deep in the abyssal labyrinth. It was a disaster. Leader died, one adventurer retired injured, another got swallowed. Alicia admits she's scarred too, showing a cursed mark on her chest. He gets all flustered, asking what she's up to. Alicia points to the curse etched on her chest. She explains it's a strength-down curse. She's tried every trick to break it, but can only slow its decay. She admits she doesn't even know the exact curse. The old adventuring crew knew about it and wanted to exploit it. Alicia says the curse will kill her once her level hits 0, and she gets a little emotional. Rude feels his heart, thinking he might help. He pulls out a skill substitute card, ready to try something. He asks Alicia to take on the skill he's about to fire, and she agrees. They start extracting the curse. Rude places his hand on her shoulder and activates the substitute. She sees the curse flowing into him, something she didn't expect. Alicia tries to stop him, but he reassures her everything's fine. Soon the process of extracting Alicia's curse begins. Rude places his right hand on her shoulder and activates skill substitute. She notices that her curse is transferring to him, something she didn't expect. Alicia tries to stop him, but he reassures her that everything is okay. All right, so Rude asks for Alicia's trust. Then his weird skill, abnormal status nullification, kicks in automatically, wiping away the curse that was hanging over her. Everything goes smooth, the curse disappears, and Rude's pretty pumped about how his abilities just nailed it. Alicia's never seen a human pull off monster-type moves, so she's like, what the heck just happened? Rude tells Alicia to check her guild card, and when she does, her status reads normal. He explains that his special trick, abnormal status nullification, was meant to cancel her curse. Alicia calls him an idiot for taking such a huge risk, but she's also super grateful for the rescue. Later they're chilling at the Full Belly Tavern, munching on food and sipping strong booze. Alicia's loving the grub and the drinks, giving Rude props for finding such a spot. He's a bit awkward, 'cause they got booted out last time. Seeing her downing a lot, he asks if she's okay after her recent injuries, but she says she's fine and can't say no to a good night. Rude asks Alicia what she's planning next. She admits she doesn't have a set destination yet and wants to learn more about him, especially why he chose the adventurer life. He opens up. His hometown was razed by monsters, he lost everyone he cared about, and an S-rank hero swooped in and saved him. That moment stuck with him, pushing him to become an S-rank adventurer himself, hoping to protect others. Alicia says she vibes with his goal. She's also chasing that S-rank dream, wanting to reclaim what she lost to the curse. She's sure her teammates are still stuck deep in the abyssal labyrinth, and she's itching to take down that nightmare monster again. She proposes they team up, pooling strength until both of them hit their goals. Alicia reaches out to make it official, just as Rude's about to turn down her offer. A bunch of thugs grab Alicia by the wrist, mocking Rude for drinking with a beautiful girl. They're the same jerks who called him trash and gave him a hard time in this very tavern before. They're the same crew who trashed him earlier. After the scuffle, they try to hand Alicia a drink, but Rude steps in and says, "Let her go." He was once duped by the Scarlet Sword, but now he's not about to let them bully anyone. He tells the thugs to back off and let Alicia be. That fires them up, and one of the bullies grabs Rude by the collar. Just as things heat up, Alicia steps in, stopping both sides. She suggests they settle the dispute over drinks, seeing who can out-drink the other. Even though she first pitched a drinking contest between Rude and the bullies, she ends up joining the showdown herself. When night falls, the friendly competition rolls on. The contest ends with Alicia taking the crown, totally owning the night. She's also riding a serious high. Rude gives her props, saying she crushed it, especially since she'd already knocked back a ton of drinks before the showdown. She chimes in, insisting she's not the type to just sit still and watch the party go by. Her speech starts slurring, and before long she passes out. Rude quickly uses his substitute skill to siphon her drunkenness into himself, letting her sober up. Impressed by Rude's crazy skill set, Alicia says they should officially form a party. She laughs, still a bit tipsy, and then collapses. Rude grabs the moment, transferring the booze to himself so she can stay clear. With his massive arsenal of unique abilities, Rude convinces her they need to team up, and they dive back into drinking. Alicia, now feeling better, eyes the special dish on the table, ready for the next round. Together, they kick off another drinking spree, laughing and planning their next big adventure. So the crew rolls up to that massive belly-full restaurant, the assault-grilled Barnuma joint. The manager drops the news that a monster's taken over the Barnuma fishing grounds. He's pinged the guild, but none of the top adventurers are free right now. He asks if we're down to take the job. We head out to the Barnuma fishing grounds right after, a spot that's totally in sync with nature. Rude and Alicia are buzzing, loving the crazy pretty scenery. Luck's not on our side, we get ambushed the second we step foot there. What started as good fortune flips into a nightmare as a swarm of monsters. The Jernib swarms us. They're level 23, stats matching that level, spitting high-pressure water like crazy. There's way more than a few of them. The water jet barrage is insane, and trying to stay on the boat won't cut it. Rude jumps off, dives in, just to grab the Jernib's attention. When the beasts spot an easier target, they zero in on Rude. He flips on his lightning cloak, zapping the monsters. His special move wipes out most of the Jernib crew, though a few stay deep underwater and dodge the first wave. Rude pauses to figure out the weird turn of events. Before diving deeper, he tells Alicia his plan and asks for backup. He straps a rope around his waist and plunges, soon reaching a massive swarm of Jernib lurking around. He's shocked that none of the monsters attack. After some logical thinking, he realizes they're acting like protectors, maybe guarding something. He keeps descending and spots a massive, tentacled thing. Blurry vision makes it hard to see, so he uses appraisal and discovers it's a level 38 monster called Tentacles. That creature's got a huge health pool, way higher than its natural agility would suggest. Rude watches the tentacles spawning more Jernib, and as soon as they burst out of their pockets, they go full-on fierce. If Rude doesn't take down those tentacles, there's no point in endlessly slashing Jernib. Since the monster isn't even showing signs of attacking, he decides to set up first. He's gearing up, making some prep moves. He thought he knew the situation, but it turned out not to be exactly what he expected. Precisely the case. The monster that was supposed to be guarded by the Jernib is now turning on Rude. All of a sudden, the Jernib stop holding back. They weren't attacking him earlier because they wanted to distract him from the feeler. Rude throws on his lightning cloak again to dodge being devoured. The monster has its arms wrapped around him, but he's not backing down. He fires the cloak once more, hunting for the monster's weak spots. The giant beast tries to cut off its feelers before the lightning hits, but Rude's quick. Stunned, he recalls the autonomy skill. It cut off the feelers right as the lightning struck, sparing the monster from a fatal blow. As the bolt hit, the creature avoided a deadly injury. The battlefield shifts, and the fight takes a new turn. Soon the position changes, and everything feels different. The crew braces for whatever comes next. Rude's just watching the monster when it hops right over him. He's gasping for air, so he cues Alicia to yank the rope. Alicia waves her wand, slaps some magic on the rope, and it whips the monster into oblivion. Chillin' at Barnum's fishing spot, Rude's just talking it easy. Alicia checks in, and he tells her he's fine, thanks to her help. After he's back on his feet, he drops the news about a deep-sea boss spittin' out Jernibs nonstop. That boss also has a rapid heal move, so there's no time to waste. Alicia points out the monsters on the water, so her spells won't cut it down there. She asks Rude if he's got a backup plan. He starts to explain, then pauses, lost in thought. He's been roaming the miasma maze, munching monsters for the first time. After Alicia spilled her curse and teamed up with him, he feels he owes her the lowdown and wants to lay it out before she answers. He begs her to keep it on the down low. Then he plunges in, using his fresh high-speed swim skill, slicing through a bunch of Jernibs in one smooth swing, outmaneuvering them like a pro. He locks onto the massive beast. It swings its tentacles, but Rude's too quick to even flinch. Spotting the weak spot, he drives his blade straight into its snout. Then he throws on a lightning cloak for good measure. The giant monster finally bites the dust, blood spewing everywhere. That should let the fishing grounds chill again, but Alicia caught him chowing down on a monster, and he wonders how she feels seeing something so wild. He's hoping she'll have something to say when he returns. Rude pops out of the Barnumus River, expecting Alicia to be waiting. He scans around, can't spot her, thinks maybe she left. Yet as soon as he climbs out, Alicia greets him. She admits she can't sit still, so she's gathering branches for a campfire, planning to dry their clothes, especially Rude. Seeing Alicia in her usual vibe, he asks if she's all right. After catching him pull a shady move, Alicia says it totally surprised her, though. He trusted her enough to spill his secret, which made her pretty happy. Rude gives her a shout-out. Alicia for being generous. He also recalls slicing the boss apart to snag its skill. Since it'd be weird if he ate solo, he grabbed some Barnumus, even if it might be weird to eat it next to a monster. He wants to hand it over to her, and she gladly takes it. Rude says that as they chow down, he'll spill the story of his first monster meal. When he lays it all out, Alicia remarks it's still wild how Rude can devour monsters. He says that thanks to that unlucky break, a destined underdog like him got a step closer to his dream. She also thinks that the monster's flavor must be pretty tasty if it's cooked the same way he does. Rude's digging into Jernai fillets and miso braised tentacles. He nods to what she said. Rude admits he's over Jernaive, but wants to try cooking it properly. He asks Alicia if she'd like to give it a go. Alicia politely declines, noting there's no guarantee she'll make it through without the same side effects. After she wipes her plate clean, she asks him to hop into her party. Rude wonders if she's got any tougher buddies she could team up with. She's basically a legend, but she's been cursed for 5 years now. Even though her old contacts survived the labyrinth, most of them are probably retired by now, and the ones still grinding are a bit unhinged. She doesn't trust anyone else to have her back, so she's hunting for a partner she can rely on 100%. She's convinced Rude's the right guy, and after she lays it out, he signs up. Before long, the two of them roll back into the guild. Alicia's buzzing about their first gig together, but Rude, being an E-rank, doubts any big contracts will come their way. She nods to his concerns, stays cool, and already has a plan to turn things around. She heads to the front desk to register the new squad, flashes her adventurer card, and the clerk goes wide-eyed when he finds out she's the infamous S-rank Alicia of the Emerald Stone. His reaction? Even funnier than Rude's. Alicia's a level 43 powerhouse, packed with massive magic and spirit stats, plus a whole arsenal of weird skills the clerk S never seen. Meanwhile, Miasma Scavenger is a low ranker with nothing flashy to his name. The clerk's puzzled why Alicia's teaming up with Rude. She explains she wants to boost his rank, asks what points he's missing, and the desk checks his file. Turns out he's already racked up enough achievements. His combat record's thin, though. Since he's on the brink of promotion, Alicia pushes for the toughest subjugation quest they can tackle together. The clerk says the job's out near Barona. They get the green light and head out to grab the contract. First up, wiping out a pack of gray wolves. These wolves sit at level 11 and have a keen nose for tracking. Rude sneaks in using his stealth ability. If he gets spotted, the alpha wolf summons backup. Because Rude's handling the pack solo, he hands the reinforcements over to Alicia. Alicia taps her spirit magic and calls forth a sulf called Sulfide, an agile wind elemental. She orders it to unleash a fierce gust, slicing the wolves apart. Sulf jumps into action, wiping out every wolf that showed up as backup. Rude watches the chemistry between Alicia and her elemental Sulf. He sees how massive it is, and there's zero chance anyone could dodge it. When she mentions her original powers still locked away, he imagines how scary she'd be at full strength. Just as he thinks the wolf pack's done, another horde of monsters leaps at him. He gets cornered, unable to block or dodge anything. Alicia's Sulf comes through and saves Rude. He learns Alicia and Sulf can wield wind magic, letting them float and boost his mobility. Rude thanks Alicia, but she says any gratitude belongs to the spirit. She warns they can't relax, noting she spotted roughly 5 more wolves lurking in the bushes. There are probably even more hidden out there. Rude uses echolocation, pinpointing around 30 wolves hiding in the brush. He tells Alicia exactly where to strike. Alicia follows his cue, casting a spell that wipes out the hidden monsters. Rude knows echolocation gets fuzzy in open areas, and even Alicia can't lock onto too many spots at once. But by attacking from the sides, they can herd the gray wolves together. That was Rude's plan, and Alicia played her part. She hands the rest over to Rude. Meanwhile, Rude sneaks closer to the monsters and uses a paralyzing breath to paralyze the wolves from behind. The two finally chill out, lower their guard, and take a breather. After that, they end up with a total of 52 wolf carcasses. Alicia swears she's never seen this many wolves in a single day, guessing the count hit 52. Rude grills her about the magic spirit she tapped earlier, and she explains she draws power straight from nature's spirits. Spirits are all around, even if you can't see them, but you gotta give a bit of magic as a trade to borrow their strength. Still, you can pull off some serious spells with barely any magic juice, and what he witnessed earlier was the perfect example. Sulfide can make herself float in the air, and Rude admits he's never heard of wind magic this strong before. As he rants about wind magic, Sulfide teases him by tugging his hair, showing her playful side. Alicia notes the skies darkening fast, wants to head back quick, so she tells Sulfide to fire up her wind magic and whisk them home. Flying's new to Rude, even with his massive skill list, so he asks Alicia what other spirit magic she's got up her sleeve. She says she rolls with ice, water, light, and earth magic, but darkness and fire spirits just aren't her vibe. When a spirit clashes with its user, it demands huge magic power, and sometimes it won't even share any. Sulfide's having a blast messing with Rude, she's into him, and they soon spot smoke billowing from somewhere. Alicia points out there's probably a village that way. Turns out the village is under attack by Baphomet, a demon spirit packing a whole bunch of powers. Usually, gray wolves roam that region, and even the local adventurers are baffled by the creepy scene. They can't figure out what monster's tearing them apart. Helpless and scared, the villagers just stare at it. So the monster's conjuring this actual spear with its magic, right? Just as it's about to hit the 2 villagers on guard, a freakin' water bullet swoops in and wipes out Baphomet's attack. Alicia checks in, asks if everyone's all right, then presses for a quick sit rep. Meanwhile, Rude gears up for the fight, runs an appraisal to gauge how tough this thing really is. Turns out the beast is 27 level, but its skills are insane. Even though that's lower than a typical lizard, its stats are on a whole other planet. Rude thinks this crit's not your average 27. It's packing fire magic, earth magic, echolocation, crazy fast monoregen, and solid mental grit. Rude's own fire magic's weak, so he's pumped to take down Baphomet and chow down on it to snag its powers. He finds out the monster's got serious muscle, his swing gets blocked. He suspects those steel claws are the culprit. Running out of tricks, he goes full brute force, firing off some earth magic principles in retaliation. Rude just scrapes out of the monster's range. He spots how clever it is, firing everything but keeping 2 of its fire spears reserved. He keeps those spare spears for defense. The beast stays on guard, so Alicia says they should swap intel while they got the chance. She lets him know the villagers still haven't been evacuated, and asks the earlier crew to step up and guide the evacuees, though she's still hunting a way to dodge any collateral damage. She can't just blast Baphomet down with a single massive spell. Rude figures Alicia's magic took a hit after that flight, and all that running she did earlier. He thinks they can't count on her spirit magic, so he's brainstorming a plan. Then Alicia steps up to Rude and says she'll take care of the magic side. He's looking for her trust. He charges the Baphomet while Alicia backs him up from behind. Their spells clash and cancel out, since they're opposite but equally strong. After that, the Baphomet taps into earth magic for another swing at Rude, while Alicia still watches his back. The beast is spitting out perfectly sized pebbles. Even with the danger, Alicia saves her magic and keeps the area clean. He's blown away by how spot on her magic is. That just shows, as a former S-ranker, she's on another level. With Alicia on his side, Rude wants to wrap this up quick. He powers up his body and slices off a few of the monster's fingers. That sends the creature into a frenzy, but Alicia blasts it down with fire. The monster blows up from the inside, and the villagers watch their town go up in flames. Their faces show shock, fear, and sorrow as they stare at the wrecked homes. Out of nowhere, an explosion erupts, followed by a blood-curdling scream. A local adventurer wonders if the earlier heroes actually took it down. Another villager says if he hadn't been hurt, he'd have stayed to lend a hand. Even though they're worried about Alicia and Rude, Alicia shows up, shocking everyone. She tells them the Baphomet's been taken down. She admits she landed the killing blow. But if it somehow survived, and we need to stop it from coming back, we're going after it. She hits up the villagers, asking for a favor. The villagers, always ready to grant their heroes' wishes, are like, "How can we help you?" Alicia playfully asks for some grub. Out on the forest edge, near the village, Rude's chilling by the campfire, waiting for her. Alicia heads back to Rude, letting him know everyone made it out. She gives most of the props to the adventurers. She mentions she told the villagers they'd be after the Baphomet, so the missing corpse shouldn't raise any eyebrows. Rude apologizes for the hassle, then thanks her. Suddenly, his eyes lock onto that eye-catching, aromatic Baphomet soup. He tosses in some mugwort and ginger before digging in. First bite, not bad at all. Even after cooking the monster, a hint of goat aroma sneaks in, but hey, it's tasty if you ignore that whiff. Now Rude's got every skill the beast had. Alicia's eyes are on the perfectly plated dish, but she's still uneasy seeing Rude chow down on a monster like it's nothing. Rude gets that Alicia might be onto something. It's kinda creepy how he's getting used to monster meals. Then, a few uninvited guests show up. Enter a level 22 monster Stampig, sporting a skill called Flash Step, letting it zip straight ahead in a flash. Just like real pigs, they travel in tight little herds. Rude sees this as his chance to debut some magic combat. So he swings his magic at the monsters, only to discover his spells are totally glitching. One Stampig fires its Flash Step, covering the gap in a heartbeat, even barreling right over Rude's dish. Alicia admits she's low on magic, so she can't really back him up. Rude, meanwhile, is steaming mad. All that food he prepped, gone to waste. He squeezed out the Baphomet's blood, scraped off the scum, and it ate up a ton of his time. He was trying to make the taste better, hoping the Stampig would make up for it, basically expecting them to let him chow down on their meat. Alicia snags his collar and says, "Take it easy." She breaks down that the Stampig's earlier move boosted its charge power. That means even one hit packs a serious punch. She decides they should keep their distance, out of Flash Step range, so basically pull back. The crew dodge the stampigs by scrambling up a tree. Because the danger's still there, they hang out up there for a bit. Alicia presses him for why his magic flopped earlier. Rude's confused. He's never before been unable to use the taboo-learned monster-eating skills. She hints he should test the skill with appraisal. The lore on fire and earth magic says anyone with those gifts just gets how to wield them. Alicia figures if he can't tap those powers, maybe his brain just can't grasp magic. She rethinks that, since Rude's decent with fire magic, and admits her theory doesn't hold up. Alicia ponders and lands on a possible cause. She tells him maybe he can't tap monster skills because he lacks mana control, and admits she's not a mana expert either. So she says he should just give it a shot himself. Rude nods, decides to try, and starts fiddling with the mana. He tells himself it's like the time he ate that minotaur. He's aiming to unleash a power burst. And before long, he nails it. He can feel the mana, so he just treats it like it's part of his own body. He throws some fire magic right at where the stampigs are hanging out. Boom, that triggers an explosion that probably wipes out every stampig. Rude finally got sweet revenge on those stampigs. They messed up his dinner, and now they're the dinner. He tells Alicia sorry for keeping her waiting forever. She says no worries, she gets why it was needed. Alicia chimes in about his magic game, pointing out he has to tap mana, not raw magic power, and she saw his mana run low in the last strike. She guesses he could keep it flowing. Rude feels the mana surge through him and instantly gets how to wield it. He figures if mana can stand in for magic power, maybe he can boost his gear or even his own body with it. A lot of adventurers grind magic power, some even mix it into melee. Circulating that power through your body amps up your physical game, and slapping it on a weapon makes it punch harder. You can even fire off slash attacks. Alicia finally gets that his low magic power kept him from pulling those moves. Rude's got way more mana than magic power. But the real kicker is, he realizes he can top up his mana just by chowing down on monsters, while they're riffing on mana and magic. He snaps up the stampigs, flash step skill with a single bite. Alicia sees Rude soaking up mana whenever he eats a monster, and he can stash it right inside his own body. But what really catches her eye is how tasty those pork cutlets look. Seeing her eyeing his plate, he asks if she's up for a bite now. Out of nowhere, a huge bang startles the whole crew. When the smoke finally clears, they spot this massive stampig, the boss himself. Just like the regular stampigs, this giant one dashes in with flash step, slamming into Alicia, but Rude swoops in with lightning-fast reflexes to pull her out. The second Alicia even notices something far off, and bam, the boss is already right in front of her. Even without a maze around, she's trying to figure out why such a high-level threat is out here. Meanwhile, Rude's steaming mad again, 'cause his food got wasted for no reason. He yells like a lunatic, then jokes that this monster would make a killer roast. But the thing's already wreathed in flames, and weirdly its body doesn't burn. Turns out it's got fire-resistant skill. King Stampig is a level 38 monster, only packing flash step and fire resistance. What really makes it dangerous is its sheer endurance and raw strength. Rude taps into earth magic, throwing a fake punch to chip away at the beast, but the move falls flat when the monster slams him with a classic bull charge, stopping him from firing up steel body. Alicia's the next closest target, but she flips on Sylphide to dodge that deadly headbutt. King Stampig isn't even using a skill. Its thick fur and massive muscles are enough on their own. Whether they throw earth magic or spirit's wind magic, neither can pierce its hide. The monster charges at Alicia again, but just in time Rude lets out a roar, snagging the beast's focus. He shouts at the monster, "Don't look away, this isn't over yet." He tells the monster, "Don't look away," because the fight's far from over. At this point, he can't flash step or steel body. And if this turns into a war of attrition, there's a chance King Stampig will shift its focus onto Alicia. He ain't got a one-shot move to fell the beast, even though the monster just charges straight ahead. That hints Rude's about to pull a brand new skill to win. First up, he squeezes the mana out of his own body, picturing it flowing right into his blade. When the critter closes in, Rude cracks his eyes open and slams the sword full force, slicing the monster clean in half. Alicia's jaw drops seeing Rude juice up his sword with raw mana, even though he's never trained that. He claims he gave it a shot because it seemed doable. Meanwhile, his mana's spilling, and right when his keen blade shatters, Alicia figures the sword just couldn't take the mana overload. She points out a weapon's basically an extension of the adventurer's own body. The two call it a day, and Rude scoops up every bit of meat. Deep in the 7th tier of the miasma maze, 3 adventurers who swiped Rude's usual hunting ground are battling the massive miasma rat. After they crush the beast, their swagger spikes through the roof. While they crack jokes over the dead rat, one of them catches a low rumble and decides to investigate the direction of the scream. The rest of the crew tags along right behind him. They stumble onto a stairwell that drops down into a hidden underground chamber. One of the adventurers mutters that the vibe feels off. Still, they push on anyway, thinking they've uncovered a secret route. Inside, they spot a treasure chest tucked near the stairs. Even the chest looks set up like a trap. The crew debates cracking it open to grab whatever's inside. They pull out a hefty sword. One of them notes a heavy magical aura pulsing from the blade. Rigurd, the wary member who'd been reluctant to venture in, warns that the magic they're feeling could be a curse. Yo, the tiny but hype adventurer, yeah, the biggest ego in the crew, tells Rigurd to chill, stop being such a buzzkill. He breaks down why that chest matters, saying they've been grinding hard with no quick cash in sight. Plus, they haven't spotted the miasma scavenger in ages. He sells it as a straight-up, heaven-sent perk for all the late-night divies they've been pulling, hoping to snag something that actually pays the bills. With Ms. Scavenger on the table, Rigurd drops that Rude's been chilling with a drop-dead, gorgeous elf lady. The other two crack up, assuming Rude totally lost his sense of class. Just as they're about to bounce, Rigurd eyes the chest like a kid in a candy store. Over at Frontier City Bellona, Ruddy and Alicia are on the hunt for a fresh weapon for Rude. They roll into a smithy called Miner's Hammer, run by Dome, a legit weapon forging specialist. Dome's blown away seeing the sword he forged looking so beat up. He swears raw muscle alone shouldn't have smashed it into that mess. Dome asks Rude what he packed into the blade. Alicia leans in, whispering if it's cool to spill the beans. Rude says he'll lay it all out, since he's known Dome forever, and Dome's the kind who keeps secrets tight. He drops the whole story, eating monsters, snagging powers, even infusing mana into the sword. Alicia fires at Dome, "Why aren't you shocked?" He replies, "If Rude digs the flavor, I don't care what's on the plate." Dome nods, promising a blade that can take mana-charged hits. But he warns it'll take time, gotta research this complex craft. Rude checks if Dome needs anything to keep it rolling. Dome demands top-tier magic stones. Rude pulls out the magic stones he snagged after taking down the Manator, plus General Lizard and Baphomet. Now he's convinced Rude's gotten seriously stronger. Rude turns red when Dome throws him a compliment. Dome hands him a temp replacement and tells him not to jam any magic into it. If it cracks, Rude's gonna have to foot the bill big time next round. Later, Rude and Alicia chow down at a hearty joint. Alicia suggests they lay off magic attacks for a bit. She's happy to finally meet Rude's buddy, even though the vibe was intense. He cracks a joke about feeling sorry for being the longer one, and 3 adventurers swing by, asking to tag along. Alicia checks if they've got any beef, and if not, throws down a drinking challenge. Rondo, the guy wielding that blade from the miasma maze, suddenly slams onto a table. Confused, the cocky adventurer asks Rondo if he's wasted or what, then spots the sword pulsing with a dark red glow. The smug guy assumes Rondo sold the blade and is shocked to see it in his grip. Rondo snaps awake, strikes back, worsening a nasty wound. Cursed by the sword, Rondo shifts his sights to Alicia. Rude leaps in, ducking the strike aimed at his borrowed blade. Rude scratches his head over Rondo's weirdness. The diners lose it, seeing the chaos, and most try to stop the brawl by grabbing Rondo's arms. Alicia tries a spell to halt cursed Rondo, even though it could wreck the wall behind him. So she gives the manager a heads-up apology. Even with Alicia's fierce push, Rondo scrambles back up. Rude asks Alicia if she held back. She says no adventurer should stay standing after taking a hit like that. When Rondo bolts toward the crew, Rude charges too, trying to stop any more damage. Alicia asks the manager chef to heal the wounded and wonders if he can use healing magic. Rude spots madness when he scans Rondo's status with his appraisal, even though it usually reads as normal. Rude's Rondo is now up against a different version than the one he's used to. His numbers are through the roof. Alicia whips up a magic blast and tells Rude to step aside. She drops that she's going full throttle, but the sword just sucks up her strike, and Alicia spots that Rondo's blade is cursed. To their shock, Rondo starts leveling up as he drinks the magic. The sword-arm bond tightens on his limb, and then he lunges at him. He manages to block it, but Rondo's swing packs way more weight than before, like several times heavier. When Rude spots his legs are open, he gives his leg a quick guard, but he sees those red-black tentacle things sealing his wounds. Alicia can't back him up with magic either, 'cause the sword would just swallow it again. If she wants to help Rude, she figures she needs to find an opening and land a killer hit. Just as Alicia and Rude plot to take Rondo down, Rigard bursts out of the wrecked wall and begs them not to kill his buddy. He confesses he's done awful stuff to Rude, but being a guy who never made it and always looked down on others, Magnus and Rondo were his only comfort. He earnestly asks them to spare his life, and Rude says he'll do his best. Rude tells Alicia he's gonna use the substitute and demands she give him a minute to fight. He recalls it took him about 10 seconds to fire the substitute on Alicia. The big question now is how he can keep Rondo in check while scrubbing that curse. Rondo swings at Rude again, and he just barely manages to block it. When it's time to strike back, he just pulls the magic sword back so it won't gulp the spell. He taps into earth magic principles to lock down Rondo's moves. He thinks he can shake off Rondo's curse the same way he did with Alicia. That is, if the root of his condition is actually a curse. At the crucial moment, Rude pulls out his substitute skill. The substitute lets Rondo snap back into control of his mind. He asks Rude to pull him out. Rude's attempts to yank that curse off Rondo's body just fell flat. When his backup skill fizzled, he got slammed right back. Rude then figured out it was Rondo who brushed off his move. Looks like the swords probably won't cut it. He thinks if he can chip away at the curse a bit more, he might stand a chance. So he fires up some fire magic to weaken the curse, only to see Rondo bust through the restraints, though he did manage to clear the curse from his left arm. With that in mind, he decides to strike from outside his right arm's range. But that won't be a walk in the park, 'cause possessed Rondo's moving like a freakin' blur. What really matters is how he soaked up that magic. Things get way worse than Rude ever imagined. The two-headed curse, Graham, jumps into Rondo. Now the body that used to be Rondo isn't his anymore. That means there's no way to save him now. Rude runs an appraisal on the incarnations level, but all it shows is his own condition. At full power, the monster keeps the fight going right where it left off. Just a sec ago, Rude was blown away by how fast half-possessed Rondo was. Now this new form is several times faster and way more agile than before. Sure enough, Rude can't keep the curse's attacks in check. He spots that Rondo isn't making any wasted moves, like a seasoned pro. Out of nowhere, possessed Rondo leaps over Rude, but Alicia jumps in at the perfect moment and hurls a charged magical blast. Even though she usually fights from the back, she doesn't miss the chance to hit the monster. He lands a solid kick, then follows up with a magic blast that sends him soaring. Rude thanks her, admitting he didn't realize she could fight hand to hand. Alicia points out that a wizard who's useless the moment an enemy gets close is just a dead weight for the team. Since he's not a real threat, they can take him lightly. She urges Rude to shift his mindset because Rondo's curse has already gotten way out of hand. The only way to end Rondo is to smash his heart. Rude gets the plan, stands tall, and vows to crush the curse. Meanwhile, Regent Magnus is freaking out after hearing Alicia's talk about destroying Rondo's heart. Even with a handicap, the curse still has the upper hand. Even with two of them, they can't carve out a solid opening. He wonders if having two heads would give the curse a wider field of vision. He decides to test the theory and asks Alicia to step back for a moment. Rude conjures a thick cloud of smog around the battlefield. Alicia gives the green light. The curse can't absorb that kind of fog. Rude seizes the moment, landing a shallow cut on the curse. Alicia follows up with earth spirit magic, summoning Namia. She drives the curse with her spell, but it only grazes the heart. The curse tries to strike back, but Regent Magnus jumps in to block it. Regard shouts that he'll stop the curse, even if Rondo has to face death. He stresses it has to be the three of them, the whole party. In a last-ditch push, Magnus finally drives his blade into Rondo's heart. It had to be Magnus, Rondo's close friend, who freed him from the curse's misery. Their mourning their buddy's death couldn't have saved him. Rude grabs that cursed blade, wondering what the heck to do with it. Even if he tried to hide it, a new victim could show up the next day, so that's not an option. The sword's got an eye right above the hilt. When it gets murderous, the blade screams kill. Rude tells it to zip it, those screams don't faze him. Out of nowhere, the Bologna Masterland Karst shows up, checking how serious things are. He spots Rondo's corpse and eyes the sword Rude's holding. He demands the full story and says they should head to the guild. After hearing the whole curse saga and why Rondo had to die to end it, Lan Karst says other adventurers would buy Magnus' testimony. Then he asks Rude if the cursed blade feels any different on him. Rude replies that curses bounce off him, thanks to his weird status nullification. As long as he keeps the sword, no more victims will show up. Lan Karst gives the okay on him keeping the sword, but if it ever possesses him, they'll do whatever to stop it. Rude nods to the deal. He thanks Rude and Alicia for handling the mess, and sends condolences to Magnus and Regard. Lan Karst says nobody's got time to chill. Monster numbers outside the labyrinth are spiking, and more adventurers are being called in. Those monsters are pouring out of the newly discovered Abelio labyrinth. According to the survey team's reports, there's a specific monster inside that labyrinth driving this crazy event. That beast, the miasma dragon Basiliska, is pegged at level 70 or higher. Man, its fighting skill is no joke, but the real issue is it pumps out crazy amounts of misma. People think the miasma Basiliska lets loose stuff that fires up other monsters, so even more creatures spill out of the dungeon. So the survey crew has taken a few hits. Anyone caught up in the mission is now getting medical care. Lan Karst worries that if this keeps up, it won't stop at just the monsters. The miasma could end up crashing outside the labyrinth, wreaking massive damage on the surroundings. That's why he started hunting down Rude. Rude nods, saying he gets it. But first, he wants to meet the rest of the survey team. Lan Karst brings Alicia and Rude to the med bay, where Rude swaps in his abilities to treat a team member, and then hands Lan Karst back his special skill. When Lan Karst admits he never knew Rude could cancel the weird condition, Rude explains it only works if the patient doesn't push him away. Seeing the team's state, he tells Lan Karst that just he and Alicia will take on the Miasma Dragon showdown. He points out that fewer folks to watch over in the labyrinth means he can move more freely. Besides, he loves taking on tough opponents. Lan Karst gets it and hands over the Miasma Dragon Baselista takedown to him. It's already night, so they plan to crash, get some solid rest, and gear up themselves. On the way, Alicia checks if they're okay handling things just the two of them. He says he can fire off his abilities freely, as long as no one's watching. Then he apologizes for pulling her into the mess. Alicia mocks his gibberish, saying if he'd claimed he was going solo, she'd have given him a good beating, cause they're a party, not just the two of us. That should be enough to pull everyone out. Rude and Alicia finally hit the deepest level of the Ibelio labyrinth. First up, they run into a squad of level 20 bob-goblins, all pumped up with club mastery. No surprise, those guys are already feeling the miasma's grip. Even with those stats, they're just regular goblins to Rude. He slices one clean in half with a single swing. Turns out nobody warned Rude that this floor is also soaked in miasma. Alicia points out that the very monster they're facing proves how fast the miasma's spreading. Her usual purification gear barely makes a dent. Rude's guessing a lot of the critters on the next level might already be dead. Rude checks in with Alicia, asking if she's down to keep going. She nods, admitting his stats might not cut it against the beast, but she's sure she can land some solid blows, even if they have to get up close. Alicia's stubborn to stay because she once had to bail on her friends, which left her scarred. Rude feels bad and apologizes for bringing up that rough memory. He fires off his substitute skill, pulling the miasma off Alicia. Rude explains he can wipe the miasma whenever they touch, but the moment he releases her, it starts creeping back. Alicia says, why not just hold hands and push forward? She admits the miasma's so thick she can barely see her own feet. Besides the substitute, Rude sticks close, escorting her. Their main goal is only 5 floors ahead, so they press on. Soon they hit the middle levels of the Ibaleo labyrinth. The deeper they trek, the denser the miasma gets. Rude flips on echolocation and spots 2 monsters up ahead. Alicia thinks, if they can make it through this thick miasma, those beasts must be tough. Rude nods, saying he's never seen monsters like these before. He's itching for a fight, even if it means a detour. Alicia teases, you fighting 'cause you wanna eat 'em. He's a bit stung by her jab, says he's just curious. He wants to test out the cursed sword, Graham, before they go head-to-head with the miasma dragon. The 2 monsters, a rolling beetle, are level 33 and pack a solid skill set. They boast abilities like a steel body, which Rude picked up after slaying a different spider breed. He also has revolution and poison resistance, plus miasma resistance. No wonder the beetles shrug off the miasma. And finally, they even have paralysis resistance. When Rude gets his moment, he fires up the principles of earth magic, shattering the platform the beetles were rolling on, only to find out that didn't do the trick. The beetle curls up and rolls straight at us. Rude calls on Alicia for help. She taps Namia and orders the beetle to halt. Alicia manages to stop it, but she admits she can't keep it down forever, so she calls on Rude for help. Rude jumps back into his tank role and pulls out that cursed sword. He makes sure the sword doesn't snap on him and tries to take down the monster in a flash. The cursed blade is so razor-sharp it even splits the stone cover Namia set up in half. Still, the monster lives on. Its scales are too thin for even that cursed edge. Rude thinks the sword needs a power boost, so he asks Alicia to charge it with her magic. When the blade gets charged with an S-rank adventurer's magic, it unleashes its full force, wiping out the monster in seconds. Seeing one of its kind fall makes the other beetles shake with fear. Rude finishes that monster off with a single strike. He gives Alicia props for her flawless magic control. While they're celebrating, Rude grabs her hand again and activates a substitute skill to clear the lingering miasma. Then he asks Alicia for a bit more time. The magic absorption didn't really refill his mana, so he decides to chow down on the monsters. He whips up the rolling beetle and starts feasting. Alicia asks how it felt wielding the cursed sword. He says that after soaking up enough magic, his physical skills get a serious boost. Alicia thinks that if he channels his mana into the cursed sword, it won't shatter like his old blade. He's curious how this sword will fare against the miasma dragon, which witnesses say towers like a tree. He mentions his former sword had better heft for striking. Suddenly, the cursed sword starts demanding something. The sword straight up asks for a magic stone. Rude pulls one from his bag and before handing it over mixes a bit of his own blood in. The sword devours the stone and swells up huge, shocking everyone. Alicia asks how he knew the sword wanted that stone. Rude explains the blade spoke directly into his mind. He wonders if it got mad because he called it weak. Rude fills her in. The sword explicitly asks for the magic stone. Rude pulls one from his bag and before handing it over mixes a bit of his own blood in. The sword devours the stone and swells up huge, shocking everyone. Alicia asks how he knew the sword wanted that stone. Rude explains the blade spoke directly into his mind. He wonders if it got mad because he called it weak. Rude fills her in. Alicia notes that he's pretty much figured out how to wield the cursed sword. The adventurers seem to be making solid progress. They've made great strides. They're just 1 floor above where they last saw the miasma dragon. Just as they bring up the miasma dragon, they hear it roar, and it's unfathomably loud. that even the ceiling above them threatens to collapse. Rude suggests they should brace the ceiling with earth magic. But Alicia isn't buying Rude's plan. She points out that if they try to shield themselves, the stairs will get blocked, and they'll lose their shot at fighting the miasma dragon. Since things have come to this, she decides to smash through all the extra floors and get to the level they were aiming for, the miasma dragon floor, after a rough trek. Our adventurers finally make it somewhere safe. They try to scout around, but it's pitch black. Rude fires up his thermal scan and finds what's spawning the mist. It's the miasma dragon. Basilista. Folks said the beast was level 70, but it turned out to be level 75. Basilista boasts every great trait, but his agility is lacking for a monster of his caliber, though his vitality tops 500. The miasma dragon carries a huge array of incredible and rare. Rude spots those nasty poisoned fangs and claws. The dragon's already onto them, which is a bad vibe. Just seeing the beast makes the crew freak out. Alicia hits Rude, asking what kind of magic resistance this thing's got. He drops the news: fire, earth, lightning, even darkness won't cut it. Alicia switches to other tricks. The miasma dragon roars again, but this squad's on point now. Rude tried to stay back, watching the dragon's moves, but everything blew up in seconds. He's not sure how long Alicia can hold out in that thick miasma, so he wants to finish it fast. The beast spews fire, almost wiping Rude out, but he pulls a flash step and dodges. The blast melts the pillar and floor. From the back, Alicia shouts for Sylphide, who whips up wind magic and pulls Rude in closer. Rude slashes at near sound speed, barely scratching the dragon's tough hide. He figures his sword, and spells just don't mesh with that armor. Alicia's spirit magic isn't moving the needle either. The beast stays unhurt. As they gear up, it flicks quills at them, wagging its tail. Rude blocks with his steel body, Alicia deflects with spirit magic. Now they're wondering how to actually take this thing down. It's got crazy defense, and a bunch of long-range moves. Alicia tells Rude to hold the line, then drops that she's about to fire her special move. While she readies it, Rude leans on earth magic, smashing close-range damage and shielding Alicia at the same time. She's gone defenseless, banking on Rude, and is dumping all her magic into this one big strike. She calls in her elementals, Salim, Erdhil, Namia, and Wakian, while fine-tuning that special attack. Rude goes full tilt fighting, then darts back to guard her. She quickly lets Rude know she's set. He's gotta clear the path. Alicia unleashes her special, Spirits Quintet, lighting up the whole place. When the haze lifts, the monster is still standing, even after all those hits. She admits she missed the kill, saying if she'd been at full strength, she could have taken it down in one go. Rude gives her Spirits Quintet props, then says it's his turn now. Alicia poured every ounce of magic into her previous move, and now she can't back Rude up. Rude tells her not to stress, and to use whatever magic she's got left to shield herself. He says he'll handle the monster from now on. To show how scary it gets, the beast roars and rattles the whole dungeon. Rude fires the roar skill he got from the Manator, proving he's no weak human to the dragon. He'd soaked up the dark magic shielding Alicia, loading a massive amount of mana into himself. Now his power's overflowing. All pumped up and ready to throw down, Rude rushes the monster, slashing at the scaly arm. Even though his speed's insane, his sword's losing its bite, and Graham's mana is draining fast. Just as Rude's winding down, the beast fires a Miasma wave. Rude can shrug off most Miasma attacks, but the blast still knocks him back. The dragon flicks its tail, launching quills. Rude calculates the trajectory and knows he can dodge the spikes, but the follow-up move is a whole other story. He tries a flash step to bolt out of range, but the monster claws him anyway. Right before the hit, he triggers Steel Body, yet the impact sends him flying into the far corner. He figures out the flash step distance, but the dragon still overpowers him. Remembering his near-death showdown with the Minotaur, Rude refuses to quit. When the dragon readies its breath, he stops dodging and decides it's time to end the fight before it drags on. He fires up his thread manipulation. He rigs the threads like slingshots, turning himself into a human projectile while the miasma dragon spews fire. He can't chill the heat, but he sips the mana in the breath, hoping his fire resistance lets him boost his weapon with both his own and Graham's stored mana, then unleash it all at once. Lsa splashes water on his scorched skin, and when Rude finally strikes, he slices the beast right in two halves, pulling off the perfect finish. Rude's on the brink of collapsing, but he manages to chat with Lsa as she's about to cast a heal. He tells her not to push herself any more than she already has. He explains he's got a skill called Bloodlust, which can patch him up a bit, though it's only a tiny heal. He learned that Bloodlust back in the hidden labyrinth. After snagging a bit of energy, he and Lsa chill on the ground, amazed they actually beat the miasma dragon. Lsa notes this is just the kickoff to their next adventures, and they're itching to explore more. Hearing an S-rank chatter about future quests reminds Rude of the hero who rescued him when he was just a kid. He recalls that Savior was insanely strong, way stronger than he is now. Usually Rude chows down on monster meat, then they set off to dig deeper into the dungeon. They push into the deepest floor and stumble on the labyrinth's core. Lsa reveals that even among adventurers, only a handful have ever laid eyes on it, and she adds that if they use the magic circle in front of the core, they'll be bounced straight back to the labyrinth's entrance. So, stepping into that circle would instantly send them out, right as the core blazes bright. Seeing the core burn fierce, Lsa says it's normal to leave the entrance immediately. They watch the core's fire, knowing it's time to head back. They'd be tossed out the entrance right away, and with the core blazing, Lsa notes it's only natural to bail out of the labyrinth. The core stays solid, even if someone wipes it out. Plus, he can pull in the stuff he can't snag outside and just bounce whenever he feels like it. He's not down for the dragon coming back to life. Once the core's intact, the dragon's revival is a given. Rude survived hell in the Ebaleo maze, and those trials actually opened a path to his dream. He finally smashes the core. Over in Bologna, Guildmaster Lankar's is itching for updates on Rude and Lsa. He's told there's still no word on their return. Inside, he knows Rude's reputation as the miasma scavenger. Adventurers say power rules everything. Even if Lankar's tried to smooth things over, it wouldn't stop the tide. If that made him ditch his dreams, that's another road. While he's mulling his next move, a teleport circle pings with news of Rude and Lsa's comeback. The report says the miasma dragon was subjugated and the dungeon core destroyed. Rude and Lsa pulled it off. Lankar's is shocked, but mostly thrilled. He never imagined the infamous miasma scavenger would end up saving Bologna. The guild throws a hero's welcome for the duo who saved the city from a level 75 threat. Meanwhile, over in Golar, the city lord is fuming about Bologna tearing down the labyrinths. He'd been planning to claim the labyrinth for himself, but that's off the table now. His second-in-command thinks the demolition actually works in their favor, since Bologna can't deny Golar's ownership claims. So they decided blowing it up is better than handing it over. He figures they can argue with the Bologna Guild and maybe get compensation. The Lord sees a bright side, profiting from the chaos beats fighting the maze and losing adventurers. He's pretty sure Bologna won't stay quiet. The advisor wants to prove he's the top dog. Elsewhere, Rude and Lsa are out in the wild. Rude's cooking his usual monster essence, but this time it's the rare miasma dragon steak. Rude's got some miasma dragon meat stashed in his bag, and he's stoked to taste something so rare. He goes wild after the first bite, admitting every other meat he's tried pales in comparison to this. The flavor's sweet and rich, the fat just melts on the tongue. He's raving about how tasty it is, and Lsa's drooling like usual. She jumps up, saying tonight they're grilling a premium steak, and she needs Rude's help finding the best spot. Rude tells her he's mid-bite on the steak and can't swing it. Lsa pushes, saying they gotta hurry and scout the top restaurants. They need to lock down the best eateries, so he should finish up already. 4 days after the Yahello labyrinth collapsed, Guildmaster Lankar's summons the adventurers to wrap up the raid reports. After the paperwork, Lankar's hands over their reward, 1.5 million Reagan. Rude's blown away by that huge payout, and Lankar's explains it's for the required level of the Yahello LA3 Bioneth, which is 70, so the reward's well earned. All in all, the sum they received is fair and well-deserved. The guild's dishing out the loot, and Rude's all about that for the future. After handing him the reward, he lets Rude know they're bumping his rank, 'cause the two of them just cleared that maze solo. Rude's kinda shocked they'll re-evaluate his rank again. He's already a level 52 adventurer, but Elise says even though he's been slaying monsters way above his level, his growth rate's insane. Usually once you hit level 40, leveling slows down a lot. Elise catches Rude grinning, and before she can figure it out, he smugly admits he finally beat her level. She pulls up her level window, she's at level 45. Rude says even if his combat power's higher, she's still the stronger one. He agrees levels are just a number. Bottom line, combat power comes down to skill and experience. While they're chatting about levels, the Lord of Golar storms in through the guild's main doors. He instantly spots Rude as the Miasma scavenger. Thinking the guy's disrespectful, Rude asks who he is. The Lord snarks that the Bologna adventurers don't even know the faces of neighboring city lords. Rude's heard the rumors about the miserable Lord of Golar. After a roundabout intro, the Lord starts grilling Rude about wrecking the labyrinth. Rude replies that the Yahello labyrinth used to be jointly owned. The Lord reveals it sat on the Golar-Bologna border, but Bologna shut it down, claiming weird stuff was happening inside. They even pumped up monster spawns and then tore the labyrinth apart. He asks Rude how they'll compensate Golar for the profits they missed, and the damage the monsters caused to surrounding lands. Belisha cuts in, saying these matters belong to the guild reps. She also notes there haven't been any monster flood reports in Golar, and that several Bologna adventurers have already dealt with the situation. Belisha jumps in, telling the Lord these issues should be handled by the guild reps. She adds that there haven't been any monster flood reports in Golar, and actually, a bunch of Bologna adventurers have already dealt with the situation. She then asks who gave the right to speak to folks who never contributed anything. Rude isn't surprised Alicia's got the gift of gab. She's an experienced S-ranked adventurer after all. The Golar Guildmaster's second in command recognizes Alicia of the Emerald Stone. He'd heard whispers she was tied to Bologna, and now he's confirmed it with his very own eyes. The Guildmaster hurls insults at Alicia without a filter, remarking that, seeing as how she should have been devoured by the Abyssal Labyrinth's curse. It only makes sense for someone like her to fit in with Bologna, Rude recalls. He has a vague memory of once being Golar's Guildmaster. The current Guildmaster also notes that ordinary adventurers shouldn't have a say in this. He leans in toward Alicia and whispers. He whispers in her ear that she's a worthless survivor from a doomed party, so she should stop sticking her nose where it doesn't belong. He finishes by calling her trash. The Guildmaster's comments spark Alicia's magic. The pressure spikes, and the mighty Guildmaster feels intimidated by a fading adventurer whose level has been lowered to level 45. Then Lankar, the Bologna Guildmaster, steps in and puts a stop to it. The Guildmaster of Bologna, Lankar, intervenes and stops the situation. He's done with the drama, saying he won't put up with any more fights in the guild, and orders the Lord and the Guildmaster to fall in line. Folks, he keeps dropping disrespectful jokes at Alicia. As the crowd heads to the Guildmaster's office, an elf with a strikingly handsome face shouts Alicia's name to snag her attention. He asks if she remembers him. He doesn't want any more trouble. Alicia calls him Ebert, so she already knows him. When Rude asks if she knows him, she says they were in an old party together, adventuring side by side. Ebert admits he used to look up to Azure Trails, especially Alicia, the elf who could cast multiple elements at once. He's aware of her curse and the pain it's caused. He's come to Bologna just to invite her to join his crew. Alicia turns him down, saying she's already got a new party. She tries to introduce Rude, but when Rude reaches out, Ebert slaps his hand, no friendship vibes. He ignores Rude and focuses on Alicia, saying he feels sorry for her after she ended up with that miasma scavenger. He pitches his party as a better fit for her skills. She's a bit ticked off, pushes him away, and tells him not to speak nonsense she can't grasp. She's grateful for the concern, though. She also mentions that the curse on her has been lifted. Ebert doubts it, recalling that the curse came from the SS-rank Abyssal Labyrinth's boss on the top floor. She hints at a lucky encounter that makes him think. On top of that, She says they'll re-evaluate Rude's rank, so he won't stay a plain C rank or D rank. Seeing Alicia looking out for Rude, even though he's been on her mind the whole time, Ebert jumps to the conclusion that Rude's stirring things up with Alicia. Honestly, he can't even buy the idea that Rude actually took down the miasma dragon. It'd be a whole other tale if Alicia's curse was lifted. He assumes Alicia handled it solo, and the miasma scavenger is just stealing the credit for her feats. As they leave, Rude tells Alicia that Ebert's been harassing him nonstop. Alicia points out that elves are a proud lot, and there are plenty of them who let prejudice grow harsher over their long lives. Rude asks if she's one of those prejudiced, prideful types. Alicia sees herself as a humble, understanding, and charming elf. That makes her come off as a proud elf just like Ebert. After that, Rude and Alicia grab Rude's new rank papers. The receptionist tells him he's jumped past C rank and is now officially a B rank. His level boost shows how tough Abellio was. She mentions the guild also got reports from the villagers they rescued. So, as expected, the Baphomet defeat has been logged. Regard and Magnus also congratulate Rude on his B rank. They say everyone in the town is grateful. Seeing him pumped, Alicia adds that he should. Man, you can't just settle for B rank. The real goal's to hit S rank, right? Rude and Alicia are hyped, pushing each other to chase that top tier. Then Ebert swoops in and kills the vibe, saying some dumb thing that can't be forgiven. He points out that the info you get on dungeons depends on your rank. There's this safety rule for adventurers, but some lazy dude who never did anything still snagged a B rank. He goes off on the Bologna Guild, calling them idiots, and the receptionist drops that rank ups can be awarded by the guild at their discretion. Magnus tells Ebert to take back what he said if he doesn't want trouble. Ebert just repeats the clause instead of apologizing. Magnus grabs his collar, but before he can do anything, Ebert hurls him across the room. Magnus ends up pinned under Ebert's sword, and the proud elf warns him to keep his filthy hands off. Alicia steps in, asking Ebert to chill, thinking she's just being nice to a down-and-out Magnus. He doesn't change his mind easily, still got the wrong idea about himself. He thinks he's a humble, understanding, charming elf, and being the same race, he believes only he can show her the right path. Rude laughs hearing Ebert echo Alicia, convinced elves are all prideful. Out of nowhere, Ebert challenges Rude, saying this clueless adventurer's a danger to everyone. He wants to test if Rude deserves a B rank. Alicia's on board, telling Ebert to see for himself how strong Rude is. Then the proud elves and the miasma scavenger head to the Bologna Guild's training grounds. Alicia apologizes for pulling Rude into this mess. Rude says she's not to blame, it's his own incompetence that got us here. All he needs is to beat the challenger and prove he's worthy to stand by her side. In the end, true adventurers silence others with sheer strength. Before the fight kicks off, Alicia says if either fighter gets seriously hurt, she'll step in and stop it. She'll jump in the moment the battle starts, and the elf bolts at Rude, showing off insane speed and power. He flashes his insane speed and strength. Rude didn't see Ebert's explosive start coming, but he managed to block the attack. Ebert doesn't back down, keeping up his impressive swordplay and not giving Rude a breather. He keeps the blade moving, not even letting Rude catch his breath for a second. Rude finally realizes Ebert's swordsmanship is on another level. And Alicia mentioned before that Ebert mixes offensive magic with enhancement magic in fights. Basically, he's a magic swordsman who uses haste and physical boosts. Ebert vanishes in a flash, reappearing behind Rude and slashing him off guard. Rude can't track Ebert's moves, so he takes the hit. Ebert reveals he's a B rank, a title only those with that level of power should hold. After showing his strength, Ebert declares Rude isn't fit to keep the B rank or stay by Alicia's side. Rude admits he's not worthy of standing next to Alicia with his current skills, but it wasn't his choice to stay by her side. Alicia chose him. Rude says he'll prove why he's worthy. Being right there with her was something else. This round, Rude jumps in, using earth magic. Ebert calls him an idiot, thinking he can beat him. The magic pro fires back with a fire blast that blows up. After the fire blast, the elf whips up another of his signature magic moves. but Graham soaks up all the magic from Ebert's attacks and admits he expected a magic showdown. After all, elves are pretty proud. Rude then powers up his mana-charged blade, gaining insane speed and strength. Rude pulls out his cursed sword and tells Ebert he's wrong about it. He hands the cursed blade over, and Ebert snaps, calling him a freak for wielding it. That gives Rude another grudge. He flips on the lightning enchantment, gaining crazy speed that Rude can't match. Then Ebert fires a lightning palm, zapping Rude's whole body. After nearly scorching Rude with back-to-back lightning strikes, he asks Alicia to announce the winner. The proud elf didn't see this coming. Rude grabs him by the collar and points out lightning doesn't affect him because he just absorbed the paralysis. Shocked, Ebert says Rude should have been paralyzed by that much lightning. Rude just heads the narcissist elf, proving actions speak louder. He pins Ebert like he did with Magnus, tossing the sword near Ebert's head. Back at the Bologna Guild, the master is deep in talks with the lord and guild master of Goler City about the Belial Labyrinth's destruction. Langcarson notes the feudal lord is on official business in the capital, so he's been given the deputy role. After that, Langcarcy says he gets Goler's claims. Since they're handling the cleanup, they'll fully cooperate to fix the damage. The lord replies Goler doesn't need cooperation, they want compensation, a fair sum of money. He adds that the Bologna authorities have become greedy, taking more than they deserve, so they need to pay the proper price. Suddenly a female worker bursts in, reporting something weird is happening in the Belial Labyrinth, which has completely collapsed. The surrounding area of the Belial Labyrinth is B rank. 2 gargoyles guard the entrance, blocking any interference. From outside, Guild Master Langcarcy says this isn't the time for petty squabbles with Goler. He announces he'll organize a subjugation force and head straight to a new Belial Labyrinth to investigate. He orders the worker to summon every B rank or higher adventurer, even Rude too. When everyone gathers at Langcarcy's office, he explains that they've confirmed the start of the labyrinth cycle. He adds the reason adventurers were called is to shut down the cycle ASAP. The guild master's focus on the labyrinth cycle makes Rude ask Alicia, "What's the labyrinth cycle?" She replies that So the labyrinth cycle makes the maze evolve. Yeah, it's a rare thing, and Alicia's only heard about it a handful of times. Basically, she's about to step into a changing labyrinth for the first time. Still, Alicia's worried about that B rank mana hanging around it. Rude says it won't be an issue because he's B rank, and they've got a rank allies with them. Ebert, who's been listening to Alicia's chat, walks up to Rude and warns him not to take the situation lightly. He points out that if the mana around the Abellio Labyrinth is B rank, the mana inside is at least a rank, and in the worst case, it could hit S rank. Alicia adds that she's read reports about the labyrinth's evolving stages, kind of like a chrysalis. If that chrysalis pops, mana will flood the surface. Since Goler and Bologna sit in range, the chance of catastrophic damage is sky-high. Langcarcy fires up Rude, noting how few labyrinth cycles there have been and how many mysteries remain. He tells Rude not to sweat the small stuff, reminding him that Rude cleared the dungeon before, so they're counting on him. Later, the chosen crew reaches the labyrinth, only to find gargoyles guarding the entrance, just like the Bologna Guild worker reported. Those gargoyles are level 50 monsters, all about endurance. They've got a bunch of skills, some of which Rude already knows. After appraising them, Rude figures they're tougher than rolling beetles. Suddenly, a gargoyle glances at Rude. He thought they were out of range, but both guards charge at the party. When the monsters unleash petrifying breath, Sylphide swoops in and wipes out the attack. The breath misses the group and zeroes in on Alicia. Luckily, Langcarcy pulls her out of the way of the charging gargoyle, while the other gargoyle gets sliced in two by the Goler Guild's guildmaster, who shows up to help. Both guildmasters order the party to follow their lead. Rude is tempted to check out the gargoyle. He's curious. He wants to eat it, but backs off when he learns the beast can regenerate. When attempting to burn the monster with its regenerative abilities, Rude's actions are questioned by the Goler Guild's guildmaster. The adventurers push deeper into the Abellio Labyrinth. Just a few days ago, the maze was packed with excess miasma, but now the density has dropped. The guildmaster chimes in. The crew keeps moving deeper into the Abellio Labyrinth. just a few days ago. The maze was saturated with excess miasma, but now the densities dropped. Showing the labyrinth's nature has shifted, Rude notes the shape and layout. Haven't changed much. Alicia says that whether or not there's been a shift, they still gotta stay cautious. Nobody knows what'll hit them in the deeper layers. Layout shift or not, monster power will keep climbing. The party runs into a swarm of ugly monsters. Lankar steps up to take on the big one, the boss of the lot, and tells the rest to gear up for the smaller guys. The Goler Guild's guildmaster unleashes his special move, Wario's Honor, which lets the crew around him got a boost to their physical attack. When the human vs monster clash kicks off, the humans seem to have the upper hand. Meanwhile, Rude finds out Wario's Honor didn't stick on him. His abnormal status nullification skill just wiped out the buff. Lankars picks his foe, the boss of those ugly monsters. Even as guildmaster, he's built like a tank, smashing whenever he can. The fight's over quick. He wins by sheer force. Everyone's crushing it, except Rude, who's stunned after learning his special abnormal status nullification also cancels support magic. That same null skill also shuts down support magic. When one teammate slips, the rest jump in to cover. One adventurer says the monsters are a mystery, their weak spot hard to pin down. The squad decides to just power through by force, that's the only way. They get back to work, each showing off their own specialty. Even though the monsters look tougher, the team's insane coordination makes them champions. Out of nowhere, another monster that's been burrowed underground attacks. It looks like a weird mix of a beetle and a centipede. Once again, the crew's teamwork lets them overpower it. Rude isn't just watching, he's seeing them smash the beasts with raw strength. He's frustrated cause he can't do a thing. After the fight, Rude spots parasitic leeches in the ugly monsters' corpses. For a split second, Rude feels confident. He taps into earth magic to blast the parasites away. But the spikes he hurls get neutralized. The parasites have earth removal, letting them dissolve rock and soil. When Rude flops, the guildmaster beheads the monster. As the dust settles, the Goler guildmaster calls out Rude's mistake. Using earth magic on a ground-emerging foe was plain foolish. The guildmaster even points out that Rude wiped out the warrior's honor. Rude knows that better than anyone, that he doesn't have any experience working in a group with multiple people. Moreover, he can't even use support magic like the other adventurers. He just thinks he's extra baggage. When the Goler guildmaster wasn't enough, Abert also ribs Rude for falling behind. Abert says that teamwork to take down a strong enemy should be basic. Suddenly, an explosion erupts. They spin around and see Lankar battling the giant monster controlled by parasites. Lankar notices the corpse is parasitizing right after the transfusion. The monster's injured parts regenerated, and its fighting power spiked fast. The Goler guildmaster brushes off the monsters until an insect bites him and turns him to stone. In just a few seconds, everyone freezes into stone statues. Still, the adventurers stay aware of their surroundings despite the petrify, especially Lankar, who watches his imminent death. Rude swoops in, using thread manipulation to push him back. Rude was affected by the petrification because of his abnormal status nullification. What's more, he isn't alone. He saved Alicia by swapping her with his substitute skill. The beast they're facing is called Chaos Mouse, and its stats focus mainly on health. It's got mad strength. Among all the monsters, this one's got a ton of specialties, but it really shines in close quarters combat and can heal itself. Rude's got no magic resistances, so he plans to rush the beast, but first he wants Alicia to blast its stance with her magic. Alicia readies the job Rude gave her, summons Nomia and Salphide, and sends the spirits to fire off special attacks, knocking the Chao's mouse. The monster then mutates, sprouting a mouth where it shouldn't have one. Basically, no matter what stance it takes, it can still transform. Both Rude and Alicia jump in, with Rude tossing on a lightning cloak to blast the insects. The Chao's mouse charges straight at the party, but Alicia shoves it back with her magic. He tries to slash the flying monster, but misses as it darts away. When Rude lands, the beast lunges at him from behind. Right then, Lankar swoops in and body slams the creature. Rude asks Lankar how he busted the petrification, and Lankar says he pumped magic through his own body to melt the stone. Both of them gear up for the next strike. Rude channels mana into his blade and slices the beast cleanly in half. He figures out he can dial the mana flow up or down. When the monster tries to regen, Rude tosses venomous stingers to shut it down. Alicia's blown away seeing his stingers poison the monster faster than it can heal. The attack he just pulled off, he learned it from the miasma dragon. Alicia gives Rude props for saving the whole crew. Lankar asks for the lowdown, so Rude spills his secrets to the group. He worries he can't save everyone without a solid plan, but soon he pulls every adventurer back to safety and tells his tale. Lankar admits Rude's story sounds wild, yet after watching him in the fight, he's convinced Rude actually has the monster's abilities. Ibert's just stoked on Rude. He mentions he's lived ages, but never seen a miracle like this. Rude nudges him about the insults he's taken. Even with that, Ibert now calls him the right fit. For Alicia, when a teammate asks if Rude can actually eat monsters, he says he's ready to show off monster eating as long as they're cool with it. He explains each one needs to be slow cooked on low heat until the insides are fully done. Then he has to strip the smell with herbs. After that, he can chow down on tasty, fragrant meat. The other adventurers get curious about Rude's mouth, watering mole crickets and gargoyles. The Goler Guildmaster asks if Rude also regains magic power that way. Rude sets him straight, saying it's not magic. What he gets from eating is pure mana. The Guildmaster didn't catch any foul stench from the demons, just felt a divine energy radiating. Afterwards, the Goler Guildmaster suggests they head back and wait for backup, since they're low on intel about the labyrinth's monsters. Lankar says the longer they linger, the deeper the labyrinth cycle goes. Lankar's is. He's feeling grateful for solid pals like Alicia and Rude, so he's set on tackling the maze solo. Rude mentions that if the dungeon's layout hasn't shifted, they'll hit the boss chamber soon. But then another hurdle pops up. Last time Rude and Alicia busted through the blocked route to the miasma dragon, they left the path littered with debris and rocks. They completely overlooked the collapsed ceiling, which leaves Lankar's a bit bummed. Now stuck at this point, he has no choice but to turn back. Rude recalls how the Chawa's mouse made his earth magic useless. After munching some of its meat, he's gained its original soil skill and can strip away earth. Rude fires that skill, making the rocks vanish and opening the way to the boss room. Later, the crew spots a white dragon egg in one of the maze chambers. Even as a guildmaster, Lankar's has never actually seen one, only read about them. It's a legendary dragon that cycles between life and death. Lankar's explains that when its body is destroyed, its soul is reborn using a labyrinth as a nursery. Even after the body dies, the soul's knowledge stays intact. Rumor has it the dragon can understand human speech and even glimpse the future. One of the adventurers just calls it an egg and tries to smash it before it hatches. That attack from the egg was actually its preservation instinct. He warns the approaching adventurer to stay back, saying that despite its egg state, it's still a true dragon. Rude tries to appraise its abilities, but discovers its status is completely hidden. When one teammate suggests pulling back and waiting for reinforcements, the Goler Guildmaster says no matter how many S-classes they have, they can't stop it. Still, Lankar's is plotting to stop the egg from hatching. He needs backup to take down the monster. While everyone aims for the egg's legs, Lankar swings in from the side and chops off a limb. But the egg sprouts the limb back in just a few seconds, leaving the group stunned. Since Lankar's attacks aren't cutting it, he asks Rude for a favor and tells him something, all while the dragon inside the egg roars. When everyone covers their ears, Lankar's charges at the monster and slices off another limb. As he tries to climb the egg, a tentacle shoots up from the ground and grabs him. In a desperate moment, as Lankar's is about to give in to the dragon, the guild masters from Ebert and Goler step in to cover him. He quickly recovers and launches an all-out assault, severely wounding the egg. After that, Rude goes for the finishing move, easily slashing through the egg with his mana-infused sword. Even with Rude's effort, the wise dragon's main body stays unharmed. Only the outer shell is split in half. Alicia orders Sylphide to use the opening to finish off the enemy. But the egg seals shut before Sylphide's magic can connect. The Goaler Guildmaster thinks they're stuck if the wise dragon keeps regenerating. The situation suddenly flips, turning the adventurer's advantage into a precarious spot. The Guildmaster from Goaler thinks that they can't get anywhere if the wise dragon keeps on regenerating. The circumstances unexpectedly shift, turning the adventurer's upper hand into a disadvantage. Now they're scrambling, trying to figure out a new plan before the dragon fully recovers. Man, that wise dragon's aura is giving us the creeps. The egg's looking weird and Alicia's like, yo, it's hatching. Lankar's yells, we're out of time, folks. Let's finish this with one big hit. The beast can heal, but its legs are weak. Lankars tells the crew to all strike together and make a little opening. The Goaler Guildmaster grabs the far right spot, Ebert and the claw-wielding Guy lock down the far left. The other two go after the front foes, while Rude and Alicia handle the left front enemies. Everyone darts toward the egg. The monster spikes into a quill mode, launching spikes at us, but one of the teams got a solid magic barrier up. She throws up her magic barrier, covering the squad, and lets Lankars know she's got his back so he can focus on smashing. Lankars fires up his charge, doubling his next attack's power. Alicia's wondering how they'll shatter those legs, and Rude steps in, using his command skill. He's got telepathy from that lizard general to rally everyone. He announces that once the timer is up, they'll all crush the dragon's legs together. When the countdown hits 0, each group slashes the egg's legs, it crashes down, and Lankars lands his charged blow. Their flawless teamwork takes down the wise dragon. Lankars is drained, barely hanging on. The Goaler Guildmaster admits they couldn't have beaten the wise dragon without the whole crew. Once everyone's safe, they throw a celebration for taking down the wise dragon. Our buddy who teamed up with a Bort to snap the monster's leg thought he could loot the dragon's magic stones for a sweet payday. Usually dead monsters drop those stones, but he comes up empty, just as he's thinking there aren't any magic stones anywhere. He gets ambushed by the failed reincarnation of the wise dragon. The creature actually talks, telling us its current body won't hold together for long. It'll have to wait for its next rebirth, but first it's zeroing in on the adventurers who messed with its reincarnation. The Goaler Guildmaster can feel the monster's icy aura seeping out. He warns the crew about the beast, and the wise dragon Orphis edges closer to us. Every member of the subjugation squad is left stunned. Seeing this odd new form of the wise dragon is wild, and then Orphis actually starts speaking human words, total surprise. Lankars points out that among dragonkin, the true dragons sit at the top, almost godlike. They can even understand human speech, and this monster tries to talk to us. First thing it says is that it senses some nasty impurity in us. They look human but act like monsters, then it tells the crew too. Whoever they are, they resemble humans, yet are like monsters. He then tells the adventurers too. They try to keep him busy by shaking like scared kids. The girl adventurer who covered for Lankars earlier pulls out that dark envelopment skill, basically vanishing from sight. Suddenly the monster starts to crumble, like it's rotting away. Lankars shouts, "Attack while you can, this won't come around again." But not everyone's got the same stamina after that subjugation gig. The first to hit the egg adventurer tries to dodge the monster's range, only to have the beast block the exit with telekinesis, bragging that even a single-handed rat extermination won't slow it down. Being the guildmaster, Lankars does his usual thing. The crew all leap at Orphis, but they quickly realize their blows are getting red and bounced off. Orphis isn't happy with their level, so he demands they keep entertaining him a bit longer. When they try to get close, the monster slams them back. Alicia checks on Rude, who says he's fine even though he's almost out of mana from the last fight. Seeing everyone struggle, Alicia decides to end it with her ultimate, Quintet of Spirits. She tells Rude to spread the word, and through telepathy, Alicia informs everyone about the massive move she's about to unleash. Alicia wants the team to sync up, dodge at the right moment, and most of all, lend her their strength. After charging up her magic, she tells everyone to get out of the way. The adventurers promptly move away, clearing a path for her Quintet of Spirits. Even with Alicia's effort, the attack fizzles and the monster jumps back up. Orphis admits he slipped up, tries to strike again, and soon whips his tail around, taking down Lankars. The party starts making reckless moves, clearly exhausted after that clash with the wise dragon. Even proud elf Ebert falls into predictable patterns, his attacks getting brushed off by the monster. He thought he'd found a blind spot, but regardless of any advance, he gets tossed into the pit. Orphis calls their attacks unpleasant. Watching her teammates teeter on the brink of death brings back Alicia's PTSD from when she lost her friends. She's scared it could happen again, but she can't act. Alicia blames herself for feeling powerless. The monster snarls, saying it'll turn her into nourishment for its wisdom. Rude realizes they can't beat the beast, so escaping is their only shot. He figures they might buy time and reach the escape circle at the labyrinth's core. When they try to fire up thread manipulation, Rude sees his skill won't trigger mana's drained. He knows if they don't recover mana, they're all toast. Targeting Alicia, the monster breathes a dragon-like blast, but Sylphide helps her counter it. The Guildmaster of Golar throws a flying blade, only for the monster to block it with a magic shield. In retaliation, the monster hurls water bullets. The adventurers are annoyed by the sheer variety of its moves. But the monster isn't done. It starts charging up another attack. They all brace as it readies a massive strike. Alicia, with Sylphide's help, readies her counter as the monster lets loose its dragon breath. The Guildmaster fires another flying blade, but the monster blocks it again with a magical process. The monster then sprays water bullets, and the party grumbles about the endless skill showcase. Still, it keeps charging up for the next big move. Lankars dropped a void strike that shocked everyone. The Golar Guildmaster shouted that the monster was wide open because it was busy charging, so we should go for it now. Alicia called in Ordeal and Washin to back up the crew. She tossed some magic on the Guildmaster's blade, mixing water lightning into it. The Golar Guildmaster charged at the beast, trying anything to bring it down. Then he realized the monster had outsmarted him, but it was already too late to change course. Orphis speared the Golar Guildmaster. Alicia's spirit, Ordeal, tried to strike the monster too, but it flopped and ended up getting devoured. Alicia was crushed, losing her dear spirit. After that loss, Alicia was heartbroken. Usually you use charging moves against foes stronger than you, creating an opening and then unleashing massive power. Orphis asked Alicia if she wanted the lowdown on why it blasted those tiny rats so hard. The monster explained it used the charge just to watch the adventurers' faces twist with despair. Orphis leaned in, hoping to taste an elf, when Rude barreled into him, buying Alicia a brief breather. Rude's surprise attack actually landed, gouging the monster's eye and leaving a nasty wound. After feeling Rude's raw strike, Orphis saw that Rude had swallowed his eggshell and turned into a monster. Rude isn't in control, he's awake, but a massive surge of mana is raging inside him. Lose that flow and chaos erupts. He whisked Alicia out of danger fast. Orphis was curious how Rude could stay human despite the mana overload, but he brushed it off, saying Rude wasn't worth his time. Every second the mana burned hotter, and Rude felt himself slipping away. Then a girl from Len Carson's subjugation squad stepped up, telling Rude his mana handling was sloppy. She placed her hand on his back, cast a spell with no incantation, and his mana started to sync up within his body. The girl then did another favor, handing him his sword. She asked Rude to exterminate the half-dead lizard. The girl's insults sparked the monster, and it charged at Rude, intending to kill him. Rude intending to kill him. At last, Rude cleaved the monster clean in half with a single swing. Rude raced to his buddies, trying to patch them up, but he kept stalling on how to use thread control too. He couldn't seal the deep cuts, and nothing helped. The girl reminded him that everyone except the two of them was badly hurt. If they don't act fast, moving all those people will be a nightmare. She asked Rude whether they should wait for backup or ferry them one by one to the town. Rude's body was hitting its limit, so the girl forced his mana to temporarily strengthen him. Temporarily pumped up, he entered the agonal state, and the monster declared it wouldn't let them leave unharmed. It vowed to take them with it. The labyrinth started to crumble, showing the orifice was just a proxy for the core. The girls shouted that they needed to get out before everything got crushed. Rude, driven by pure instinct, kept charging forward. They had to escape before everything got crushed, but Rude, fueled by instinct, kept charging ahead. Alicia's knocked out and Rude's gotta pull her out. The rocks crash loud, snapping her awake. She opens her eyes and Rude drops the news. He's taken down the wisdom dragon, but now they gotta bust out of the labyrinth. Alicia's out of mana, can't move, and begs Rude to ditch her. Rude's kinda lost on what she's saying. He thinks his messing up drained her mana. The other girl from before pushes them to hurry, says if they stall they'll get buried alive too. Rude says he can't just bolt and leave his crew. She bails, saying she respects him but doesn't trust his choices. Rude finally gets how heavy the situation is. He briefly toys with the idea of ditching the maze with Alicia, but drops it, can't abandon his pals. Frustrated, he scrambles for a plan that keeps everyone safe. Alicia shouts for him to run, saying her mates would want that. Lankar's, weakened, also tells Rude to bounce, noting adventurers get plenty of chances to lose comrades. He drops a line, if the survivors don't live, what's the point for the dead? Then Ebert warns that monsters are gathering. Monsters are about to pounce, but Rude swears he won't let anyone die. Alicia keeps urging him to leave, but he stands his ground. He vents about always being the loser who can't help anyone, being called the Miasma scavenger and looked down on, until Alicia accepted his secret and asked him onto her squad. He's also stoked the guild finally recognized him as an adventurer. He vows he won't abandon the comrades who believed in him. The rush brings back the hero's words etched in his heart: never quit, no matter how rough it gets. After that pep talk, Rude throws himself into the fight for his own life and his friends. He spots a massive wave of monsters. When one gets in melee range, he tries to dodge but gets hit. One of the ugly monsters that showed up earlier bites his arm and puts him in a helpless spot. Rude flips on a special move called Self-Cut, which lets him slice off his own arm. That's just the start. He fires up his regeneration skill, growing the arm back in a flash. Then he barrels at the beast, driving his cursed blade, Graham, straight into its gut. With the blade lodged, he triggers Wrapped Lightning, hoping the monster will topple, but the horde stays solid. And the creature that soaked up the lightning fires back. Rude gets blasted away, only to be grabbed by a mysterious figure. Turns out it's the hero who rescued his village. The hero claps him on the back, says he did great, and tells him not to sweat a thing. He reminds Rude that he's done well, and there's nothing to worry about.